I can't stop crocheting granny squares. I'm obsessed with them. So today I'm going to be crocheting a piece of clothing for my Sewing a Capsule wardrobe series. Since I already used the fabric to make the bolero I originally sketched, I'm going to replace it with a crochet granny hexagon cardigan. I mocked up this granny stitch cardigan using some scrap yarn that I have, just so I could see if I could do it. And I totally can, and it's super cute. So I want to be able to finish this, but I don't have a big stash of yarn like I do a fabric stash. So I couldn't finish this entirely with scrap yarn. So for the capsule, I'm going to be using purple and green yarn that I had to go out and buy for this project. It's the only project in my capsule wardrobe that I had to go and buy anything for. All of the other fabric is fabric that I had on hand first. I bought about 800 yards of each color because I had a really hard time finding online the amount of yarn that you would need to make an entire granny square sweater. And my mock-up, I think, took about 2 rolls each. So we're just hoping that this is gonna be the right amount of yarn to make the sweater out of. I'll let you know. I'll let you know if I have to buy more or if I can use less. Maybe I can make the other half. We will see. I'm really excited for this project and I'm ready to go. But first we need to roll this yarn into balls. And I actually had somebody ask me in my last video why I roll all of my yarn into balls before I work with it. And that's very, very simple, is because I have a very hard time unwinding this yarn. Like, I can't even find the end here on this one. I have a very hard time unwinding yarn and I get lots of knots in it, and I found that rolling my yarn into balls is so much easier than trying to looks like we're going from the outside here. Oh yeah, here's where the knots start coming out and where it starts becoming a tangled mess. This is why we roll yarn into balls before working with it. Is that a good enough explanation? And you might be asking, why would I pick purple and green to make a piece of clothing? I'm gonna look like the Joker. I'm gonna look like Barney. And I would tell you, yes, I'm going to look like the Joker, but I like the Joker. And no, I'm not gonna look like Barney. He's more of a reddish purple. This is more of a bluish purple. So there's a difference there. Yeah, but for real, I did think about that color combination. And when I thought of making this crochet granny square sweater, I just kept coming back to purple and green. My first thought was purple and black, because I love purple and black, and that's a super go-to color combination for me. And then I thought, no, I'm trying to use color in my capsule wardrobe. I'm trying to go out of my comfort zone with this. I want to use color. And then I thought, well, I could do purple and gray or black and gray. And again, no, because that's still within my comfort zone. That's still something I would normally go for. And I can always just go and make another one in those colors if I want to later. And so I kept coming back to purple and green. Even though it's like kind of clashes and I'm gonna look like the Joker, I'm gonna look like Barney, I still kept coming back to this color combination because there was something about it. When I envisioned it in my head, I just felt right. It just felt like the color I needed to use. It felt like the combination I needed to use. And it's not like I dislike these colors. I actually really love purple. Like I said, it's my favorite color. And then I do really like this green yarn on its own. I think this is a very pretty green. It's a very bright, like, I don't even know if you would call this grass green. It's just a very bright, lovely green. And I've been sitting outside in the summer and seeing this color green in my backyard because we have a lot of trees and plants and stuff. And so I have been leaning towards this green on its own as a color. I love it. I'm just not sure if these colors are gonna look good together or not. When I went to pick out yarn for this project, I absolutely fell in love with the purple and green red heart yarns that were just a really nice, luxe, gorgeous, dark color. And I would have loved wearing that. I feel like that would have just been super me to wear and to make. But we are on a budget. We don't have a lot of money right now, and going to buy yarn for this project is more money than I planned on spending on my capsule wardrobe. If you've been following my capsule wardrobe, you know that all of the fabric I used for that wardrobe, for all the pieces I've made and all the pieces I'm going to make, is fabric I already had in my stash. I've been using the Sew Your Stash challenge. Like ever since I did it a few years ago, I've been trying to sew my stash. And for every year since, I have used more fabric than I have purchased. And then I inherited a bunch of fabric from my grandma. So now I have way more than I ever thought I did. But that's besides the point. But I don't have a stash of yarn. I have a very, very small stash of yarn, and I didn't have enough of any one color to be able to make this granny square cardigan the way I had envisioned it in my head. So I did end up buying this yarn, and it only cost about like $11. I got a really good deal on it. And hopefully, even though these colors are just not quite as dark as the red heart yarn, it's a lot brighter of a color combination, I still think it will look good. I'm still hoping it will look good. And I've had visions in my head that this color combination will look good. So I'm kind of taking a risk. I'm kind of taking a gamble. But that's what this capsule wardrobe is about. This capsule wardrobe is about making clothing with yarn or fabric that I wouldn't normally make clothing out of. And I've been having a lot of success with the wardrobe I've made so far. I've really been liking wearing the pieces I've made for it. And I think I'm gonna really like wearing this as well, even though the green is a lot brighter than I normally would wear. And I do love reading all your guys' comments. Some of you leave really good tips. Like somebody on my last video said, hey, wind your yarn loosely to keep it fluffy. And I thought that's a great tip because I probably wind mine too tightly. So for all of you who wind your yarn tightly, remember to wind it loosely to keep it fluffy. Yeah, that's why I roll my yarn into balls, because this is just a mess. And I don't want to deal with this kind of mess when I'm actually working on the project, when I'm crocheting or knitting. I don't want to deal with this mess then. I'd rather get it out of the way now when it's much easier to deal with it.
Mr. Green Yarn, do you want to marry Mrs. Purple Yarn? I do. Mrs. Purple Yarn, do you want to marry Mr. Green Yarn? I do. You may now become Mr. and Mrs. Purple and Green Yarn. That was so stupid. Sorry.
You guys, I just took a break for lunch and I made ramen with purple cabbage in it. And I kid you not, because I don't even know how to edit a photo to look this way, but the purple cabbage started turning green in my ramen, and I took like a bunch of pictures with flash, without flash, put them on the bowl so you guys could see my purple and green cabbage. And that's just like a sign from the universe. Purple and green is the right way to go. I'm sticking to it. I'm doing purple and green after that, after looking at my food for way too long. Okay, time to start sewing my crochet granny hexagon. I'm gonna start with a slip knot in the center, and then basically sew it the same way. Sew it, and then crochet it the same way I did my granny squares, but instead of giving it 4 sides, I'm gonna give it 6. So I learned that this is actually called a magic circle. And I love that term, and it makes me feel super witchy to be crocheting a magic circle, and I love, love, love it. So this is what you use to make a granny square, and this is what you use to make a granny hexagon. And the only thing I'm doing different than what I did on my blanket last month is I'm chaining 3 stitches instead of 2 when I flip and go the other way around. I made that change on my mock-up, and I think it just makes it a little bit smoother of a transition from one row to the next. So I am going to bring that into probably anytime I make a granny square going forward. And with 2 rounds, you will see that this doesn't lay flat, not like the squares do. It has a little bit of a warp to it, but when we turn it and tie it off and turn it into an actual like arm, you'll see that it works better that way. So second round, you don't want it to lay flat. Could you stop eating the rug? Why would you do that? Why would you eat the rug? Buddy, I love you too. Come here. I'm gonna get his string out. I'm gonna lasso this cat. Hey, buddy. And I did want to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind why I want to crochet a granny square hexagon sweater in the first place. And that comes from Jenna Phipps. So I've been watching her channel for a few years now. And she used to do crochet content. She doesn't anymore. She's doing home renovation content. But she used to do crochet content, and she made a crochet granny square vest using the hexagon method. And when I watched that video, I watched it when it came out, I thought that looks like a really easy project to make. I could totally make that project if I learned how to make a granny square. And at the time, I didn't know how to make a granny square. So I didn't make it at the time. I just put that idea like way in the back of my head so I could come back to it later. And last month, I taught myself how to make a granny square so I could make a granny square blanket as a wedding gift for someone. And so now that I know how to make a granny square, I know how to make the granny stitch, I can make this project. And that was really exciting because I really wanted to make this project. It was above my skill level, and I wasn't ready to learn that skill yet, but now I am. Now I know the skill. And that's one of the great things about sewing, crocheting, knitting, like any sort of like craft that you have. It's always good to learn new skills. It's always good to try learning new techniques and I've been trying really hard with my capsule wardrobe to try something new with every project, whether it's trying the standing collar, trying the granny stitch, or trying big old box pleats. Like, I'm trying new techniques out, and I'm really wanting to learn and push myself outside my comfort zone with the colors I'm using. Boy, this is a bright green. Or, you know, try new techniques even. And I want to improve. I think it's good to always improve your learning, your techniques, and try new stuff so that you can make stuff that you want to make that you couldn't make last year, that you couldn't make a month ago, that kind of thing. And I can tell, even though I'm only halfway through my capsule wardrobe, I can tell that I have immensely improved my sewing skills since I started. And it's been a great project for that. But I'm also improving my crocheting skills. And so I'm so happy my mock-up worked out, because that means I can make this. And I'm really excited to see how it turns out, and I want to be able to wear it, and I'm just... I'm excited. And at 4 rows in, this kind of looks like a snowflake, and I could totally make some snowflakes like this in a month or two for Christmas. That would actually be kind of cute. Getting ideas here. I actually think if today I had this finished, it would be the absolute perfect day to wear it. It's chilly outside. We turned the heat on finally. I got my warm heated blanket out. It's cold, it's the end of October. And I just really, really want to get this done as quickly as possible so that I can wear it, so that I can be warmer. And I don't think it'll take too long. I think this project is pretty quick and will only take a few days. I think the mock-up took a few days to do, but I also switched colors and I was still testing things out. And this, I have more of a clear idea of what to do, and I'm not going to be changing colors as much. So I don't think this will take more than a few days to make, maybe 2 weekends. So hoping it's going to be a quick project. I need a quick project. The last one took too long. Hey buddy, what are you doing? I love you. How's my good boy? You want the string? Is that what you want? You up to? You just coming in to chill? You want to chill with us? That's fine. What are we doing, Mr. Kojo Cat? You're just chilling? You're just being a boy? You're just being a loving cat, you? Yeah. Love you too, dude. There you go. That's what you came in here for. Mm-hmm. You came in here to attack the ball of yarn. Ow! That was my hand, dude. Go away. Why would you go after that, huh? Push out! Stop it! You're wild, buddy. this is also an easy stitch on my hands. Like sometimes I get hand cramps and wrist cramps, carpal tunnel, tendonitis, whatever you want to call it, from crocheting, and I found that the granny stitch is a nice comfortable stitch for me to do and limits the physical pain that crocheting often causes me, which helps it so that I can crochet more, and I absolutely love that about the granny stitch.
For size reference, I have my 10 by 10 granny hexagon next to my 10 by 10 granny square. But you can see my mock-up is quite a bit bigger. I did 16 by 16 on the granny hexi cardigan. So I've got a little bit more to go. Slight change of plans. I have 14 rounds on right now, and overlaying it over my mock-up, I can see that just one more round will be enough, and I think that's because I used a different thickness of thread for the mock-up. So one more round. I'm gonna have 15 rounds altogether for each side of my cardigan in the purple and green. I've had a very busy week. I ended up finishing both of my hexagons, and I bought some, hey cutie. Hi Kojo. I bought some awesome yarn at the thrift store, which will be perfect to finish my mock-up, and I'm super excited about that, but more on that later. Hi, sweetie. You're such a good boy. You're such a good Kojo. What are you doing? You want to play with the yarn too? You want to crochet too, Kojo? You silly boy. I also went to that wedding this week that I crocheted that blanket last month for, and the groom was very appreciative of it. Also, the wedding was gorgeous, but it was way too loud. The music was way too loud. All in all, it was a fine wedding to go to, and it was fun. And then we also started prepping our deck to repaint it, which we're running out of time to do because we already had our first frost date this week. And I also went to the dentist because my tooth was hurting, and no cavities, but the gist of it is if your orthodontist told you that you need to wear your retainer or your teeth will shift, she's not bluffing. And my entire face hurts after trying to wear my retainer again. Like, I feel the pain like up to my eyeballs. It's really uncomfortable, but I'm glad I don't have any cavities or need a root canal or anything like that. Oh, you're such a good boy. But I think I'll be able to get my cardigan done today, so we're just gonna go full speed ahead. City Kojo. Ow! Now, turning these granny hexagons into a sweater is super easy. Like, it's so much easier than it even looks, and it looks pretty easy. So I'm gonna take the center over here. I have like, you know, a little tail at the bottom, and then fold that in half, and then everything's gonna just easily fold in half and make kind of a little L shape. And we're just gonna crochet this top edge together. Super easy. You basically just extend your granny stitch down the top of your sleeve. At the end of the row, you connect to the opposite side of the sleeve, and then hook your 2 rows of granny stitches together.
And of course, you repeat this process on both sides of your hexagons. And the two halves of my granny's hexagon sweater are almost done. You can see if I bring the center of my shoulder seam up to my collarbone, I do have a bit of wiggle room in this sleeve. It's not too fitted, but also it's not too baggy. And that was actually the thing I found when I looked for these patterns online. I noticed most people just made them really huge, and I don't want one that's huge. I want one that's kind of fitted and kind of cropped with like shorter arms on it. That's what my vision told me to do. So I think 15 rounds with just the little like extra 2 inches of the connecting seam is comfortable. If you're making one of these at home and you want to make it fitted like mine, you just take the two ends of your hexagon, put them at your shoulder, at your collarbone, and then if they touch comfortably, that's when you add the joining seam, and it will still be fitted and nice and cute and cropped like this. But I said almost done for a reason. The back is not connected. The back doesn't line up properly, so we have to add some more stitches. And that's why I tried mine on, because I specifically wanted green to be on the right and purple to be on the left. So I could tell myself, if I take this off, to add stitches along this back side seam to connect the two pieces just down the back side, leaving the front open. I matched the yarn I used for each hexagon to extend the back side. I crocheted several rows back and forth, extending my granny stitch. And the 5th row lined up with my spine, so that's where I stopped. So I matched both hexagons, and on the 5th row of the second one, I joined my two sides of my cardigan together. This is so perfect, you guys. And yes, I tried it on and I'm very, very happy with it. I do still need to weave in all my ends, but I absolutely hate weaving in my ends, so I will probably wait until I go downstairs and can sit on my couch and weave these in. And I'm gonna save that boring part so you don't have to watch it, because I don't know anybody who likes weaving in ends. And I just wanted to show you where I'm at with the yarn. I do have a little bit of each roll left. So you could even make a border, or you can make this bigger. Maybe you can make the arms longer, or make the bottom longer, or give it like a little bit of a front. So there's extra, you know, I could have done, or you could do if you're following the same pattern. And I do have 2 big rolls left, because I guess I bought twice as much yarn as I needed to. Like I said, I was having a hard time figuring out online how much I would actually need. So I'm gonna do something very, very special with these 2 balls of yarn, but I'm not gonna tell you what it is. Not yet. I'll talk about that later. Right now I want to talk about the yarn I got at the thrift store. We're gonna leave these red ones out because I'm not using them. So for my mock-up, I was kind of flip-flopping on what color scheme I wanted to use for a while. I thought maybe grayscale would be cute. I thought maybe I could reuse some of the yarn that I had left over after making the blanket, or I could do pink or purple because that would be really cute with the green. So when I went to the thrift store and I found baby pink and variegated pink and purple, it was a sign from the universe. I knew it was right. It was like seeing the purple and green in my ramen and the cabbage. Like, it was just right. It felt good. These came rolled into 3 skeins of each color for $3.99. And I can tell by these care labels, these are super old. I actually looked up online to find out how old this yarn was because these labels were making me think they were like my grandma's yarn. So I looked up this Orlan acrylic yarn from DuPont that both of these labels are from. And basically that was the original acrylic yarn that was a wool and rayon substitute that was manufactured in the United States. And they stopped making it in like the 1990s, or at least they stopped regularly making it in the 1990s. So this yarn, mind you, this is from Kmart, and the back of this care label says, tumble dry in home or coin operated dryer to reshape. Now, I haven't seen any modern care labels that tell you to use a coin operated dryer, because like you could totally just go to the laundromat and get one of those. They're still a thing, but I've never seen a care label that actually said that. So that leads me to believe that some old lady had this yarn just sitting in her house for like 30, 40 years, and it could even be older than that, because this like DuPont brand of the Orlan acrylic could have been from like 1950, 1960. So this is super old yarn, and I love that because the yarn I used to make my mock-up is actually pretty old itself. So I got this dark green back in middle school. So it's like, was that 2012? No, that's like 2008, 2007 is about the time when I got this dark green yarn. And then like 2013, 2014, maybe as late as 2015 is when I bought the light green and the variegated yarn from an estate sale. So it's even older than that because I didn't buy it new. So, and then I think this blue and white came from the same estate sale. So this is super old yarn anyway. So finding this just like treasure of old yarn at the thrift store it's perfect, and it's making me so happy. And since I have a little of this purple left, I can use the purple as the dark color. And I'm loving this color scheme. It's so perfect. But I also wanted to break down the cost of this thrift store yarn for you guys because it is something to think about. If you look at this pink yarn, you will see there's like 4 little rolls. Same with the variegated yarn. And clearly out of this red and brown, one of them is smaller. So even though there were 3 skeins in each bag, 2 of them were not like complete skeins. They had like a chopped up yarn in the middle, and then this one was partially used. So if you're gonna be buying yarn from the thrift store, just keep in mind you might not be getting the full skein. But price-wise, I think $4 for each section was a decent price. It's actually not as good of a deal on this baby pink yarn because, like I said, getting 2 of these giant rolls was like $5 or $6 new. So getting this amount for $4 isn't a big savings. Like it's a pretty comparable wash. I could probably get that much yarn new in this color for the same price. But if you're looking at the variegated yarn, which tends to be twice the cost, sometimes 3 times the cost as just like regular plain yarn, I think there was a good deal on the variegated yarn. So let's finish this mock-up. So something I learned from crocheting that blanket that I gifted away at the wedding, and like really after having gifted it away at the wedding, is I learned that I can crochet stuff and enjoy crocheting stuff that I'm not going to be keeping. And that's something I do struggle with because I really put a lot of my love and creativity into the things I make. But when I make something for somebody else, if I know I'm going to be making it for someone else and I design it with somebody else in mind, it gives me a different perspective on the project. Like I never would have designed that blanket in those colors for myself. It was only because I was thinking of somebody else that I thought to make that in those colors. So it's kind of a liberating experience, but also kind of giving me like an eye-opener about, you know, how to make stuff for other people and how to do all that, and that I can do that, and just giving me just a different perspective on things and giving me something else that I can enjoy rather than just making stuff for myself all the time. Isn't she pretty? I was very easily able to make a scrappy look with my purple and pink side of my mock-up because my balls were all different sizes anyway. And after I used up all my purple yarn for this project, I took the remainder scrap yarn from that poncho I crocheted last winter and used that to join my edges together. And I patched the back together using some blue scraps I had on hand. And this is so cute. I absolutely love the way this came out. So if you guys want to make the scrappy version, you're going to use up a lot of your scraps, and it's cute. It's going to come out really good. But weaving those ends in was not fun. Just going to warn you. It took way longer to weave these ends in than I wanted it to. And if you guys did not notice the elephant in the room already, I'm gonna give you 3 seconds to look for it. So 1, 2, 3, there we go. Okay, I have 2. I made 2 versions of the purple and green one. So after I had that leftover yarn, I had enough left over to make a second one. And I'm going to be selling it in my Etsy shop. I opened an Etsy shop finally, because now I have a piece to sell for it. So I'm going to have it listed in 8 sizes, and you can choose whatever colors you want. So just when you place the order, put your color choice in, and then I'll send it to you. It takes about a week to make one of these. So we'll go from there. I'm gonna add more stuff to my Etsy shop too. I've been thinking about doing some PDF patterns and templates. Haven't figured out how to make those yet. But once I figure out how to make those, I'm gonna have them available. So I'm gonna at some point have like different price points of stuff you can buy in the Etsy shop. So if you have $10 and want to buy a pattern, you can do that. Or if you have a little bit more and want to support me and buy something handmade, you can buy that as well. And everything's gonna be made either made to order, so I'm only buying the yarn I need for the project, or it's going to be made using like scrap fabric or like thrifted yarn or upcycled projects. So I'm going to try and make it as sustainable as possible, and I'm going to try to not keep as much stock as possible. I'm going to try and make everything made to order if I can. Actually, no. I went and did it. I took a little longer to make this video because I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. I wanted you guys to have options. And also, if I say I'm gonna do something that's challenging and then I don't do it right away and I like let it go, I'm never gonna do it. So I thought, why not do it now and just push this video out a little longer and give you guys options. So this is a project that I actually started for you guys 3 years ago. When we lived in our old apartment, I started sketching out the different body types for women: rectangle, heart, apple, pear, hourglass, because I wanted to make a series or something about the different body types for women. It's not about how heavy you are, how light you are, how tall or how short. It's not about anything except where you wear your weight on your body. What are your proportions? Are you top heavy? Are you bottom heavy? Are you neither heavy? It's all about proportions, and I wanted to turn it into a template for you guys for Etsy because I thought it really helped me to have a template to sketch out my capsule wardrobe, just playing around with the different outfits and styles and getting a realistic idea of, is this going to flatter my proportions or not, really helped me with sketching my capsule wardrobe out. And I think it would be helpful for you guys to have that too. So I have each of the body types. I have like a front and a back version for you. I'll show you. So I got like front and back so you can sketch, you know, a full outfit. I also have a little guide on how to measure yourself because this is all about measurements. All you have to do, you take your bust, waist, and hip measurements, and then the proportion between them determines your body type. It's really easy. I have a whole guide on that. And then I also added some directions on like what the different body types mean, a little history on why you have the body type you have, and then I just have like a little extra guide on how to play with your different proportions in a way that could be fun or could maybe make you wear clothing that's more flattering if you're having a hard time with that, or just, you know, play things up, have fun, just do different things. So I know this video took a little bit longer, but that's because I had to do some learning how to make a PDF, which was not that easy for me because I'm not technically savvy and I'm also not really business minded. So figuring all this out has been difficult for me, but I wanted you guys to have options and now you do. So back to the video. I'm really excited about it. I wanted to open an Etsy shop for basically my whole life, and so this is a really big step for me. If you want to support me, you're welcome to. If not, I have free tutorials on YouTube. You're already here. Just stay here. That's cool too. But I'm going to put a link in the description if you're interested. And with that all said, let's show off what I made today. Okay, so final thoughts are super easy project to make. I made it, Jenna Phipps made it. You can make it too. It's really not that hard. If you can make a granny square, you can make a granny hexagon sweater too. Get your butt out of my face. It's just so cute and fun. And me from like 20 years ago, but who's to say I couldn't be me from 20 years ago now? And I'm so glad I made this little tunic out of the fabric I was originally gonna make my bolero out of, and then I scrapped that whole idea and made granny hexagon cardigans instead, because this just, it felt like I went off the path and then found like a little grotto full of magical creatures, and then they show me how to get back onto the path and go the right way, and then now my capsule wardrobe is just on the path it needs to be in, even though I didn't know I need to go that way. This whole last 2 months of crochet has just been a mind storm. Like, I've been completely doing something different than what I originally planned on doing, and I'm so glad I did it because I love where I ended up. But I also know I never would have finished this mock-up the way it is with this purple yarn if I hadn't first made this purple and green one. So it was just a path that I had to take to come to both. But I'm ready to get back to sewing. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel, because next month we're going back to sewing that capsule wardrobe. I'll see you guys then. Wait. Make sure you leave a like if you like this video. Leave a comment down below. I love getting comments from you guys. Now I'll see you guys next time.